Hey guys, welcome back to Recreational Sniper. Tonight I'm working on some 308. I'm actually going to finish up some stuff I've been working on and kind of show you what those look like there. So these are 175 grain Alco bullets, rebated boat tail ULD bullets. If you want to take a look at what that looks like outside of the shell unloaded, this would be the guy right here. If I can get it focused for you. 175 grain rebated boat tail, precision machine tip. Really cool design. There's a couple of advantages to the rebated boat tail, where it actually basically produces a better release into the atmosphere from the barrel as the gases expand and go around the base of the bullet. There's less of a chance that it can, gases can escape unevenly around the bullet, and therefore like kind of pitching the bullet off a little bit as it exits the muzzle. There's been some studies and science done on this, and supposedly this will increase your accuracy potential by about 15%. I do know that I've used Alco bullets for 5.56 reloading, both the 62 grain rebated boat tail as well as the 77 grain, and they both shoot amazingly well, and they are extremely high ballistic coefficient bullets. This is going to kind of probably blow your mind for a 175 grain 308 caliber bullet, but the G1 ballistic coefficient is 707, which is insanely high for that weight class of bullet. So, anyways, thought I would show that to you a little bit, and then we're going to talk about some reloading. We're going to kind of go over a few things here. Obviously I've already got some loaded up. I'm using Hodgins BLC2 rifle powder. I believe this is originally a military powder that was made commercially available, and its original purpose was loading 7.62 NATO, which is a very close cousin to the 308 Winchester. They are very close to being the same cartridge. I looked up load data for the 175 grain. Basically, to make this work, these bullets are a little longer than, say, like a normal boat tail hollow point bullet. These, because they have that really sharp machined precision machine tip, they end up being a little bit long. So they end up having to sit a little bit deeper into the casing. So basically what I did was the first thing is I figured out how far I could actually seat these out and they would feed in the magazine still. So my magazine max length, measured inside the magazine from where the tip of the bullet could potentially touch to where the head would actually rest against the back of the magazine, and that maximum length is 2.885 inches. So I'm actually loading these 35 thousandths shorter than that. I'm loading them at 2.850, and at 2.850, if you can see, don't know if that's focusing for you, I hope it is. The rebated boat tail part is a little past the, it's getting down past the neck there, and ideally you would not have any contact below that point, or any part of the boat tail down below that point, or at least where the wide part is that engages into that casing. It would be more like that, but that's too long to actually fit in the magazine. So I pushed it back until it fit in the magazine. And I'm going to see how they do. As far as load data goes, I looked up a couple different things. I looked up normal rifle barrel length load data that I could find for a 175 grain bullet. because there isn't actual published data on this particular bullet. I just went and did a general search for a 175 grain load data using BLC2 powder, and what I got was the trim length on the brass is 2.005 inches, and they are stating the OAL on the cartridge to be 2.800 inches, but again, I'm running mine at 2.850, so about 50 thousandths longer than what they were saying to do. And the starting load was 43 grains even, and the maximum load's 46 grains even, and that's what they did. And then I kind of looked at that same load data, but for a pistol length firearm. And pistol length 308s are typically 15-inch barrels, which is actually close to the gun that I'm shooting these out of. So the 15-inch load data and, you know, the velocities they are showing are going to be pretty similar, hopefully, to what I'm going to experience with my rifle. But my rifle's 16.1 inches. It's actually a rifle length, but 16.1 is a lot closer to 15-inch test barrel than a 24-inch test barrel. So they're showing at 46 grains out of that 15-inch barrel, getting a max velocity of 2,516 feet per second with this particular, with a 175 grain projectile. So I've already loaded these. I've got 5 loaded at 43 grains, 5 loaded at 43 and a half, 5 loaded at 44, 44.5, and then 45 grains. So I still haven't loaded enough to get to that 46 grain mark. So what I'm going to do here is, just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to show you guys a few things, and I'm going to load 5 more at 45.5 grains. And that's where I'm going to stop before I actually take these to the range and shoot them, because, you know, I wouldn't want to load to 46 grains, load all of them up, you know, all the way to the max, and then come to find out at 45 grains I'm starting to get pressure signs and like heavy bolt lift and that sort of thing. So, you know, being that these projectiles are a little bit longer, they're a little bit deeper in the case, so the pressures are going to be slightly higher, but hopefully not too much higher. Hopefully, you know, 45 and a half grains is going to be the sweet spot on these. I'm not 100% sure. So first things first, I've got to trim this brass. Our trim length is 2.005, and this is 2.022. I believe I'm using 2.005 as the trim length. I may be using something a little bit longer than that. I can't exactly remember, but my trimmer is still set up the way it was, so I'm going to go ahead and run it, and then we'll check and see what trim length I'm actually using. This shouldn't have been messed with. This is an old Lyman trimmer that used to be a hand crank one. I cut the handle off and then kind of drilled a hole in there, and then basically I just use one of these like weird square bits that I have no use for, and my little impact driver, and it cuts the brass down pretty good, pretty easy. So that's pretty much it. And we're at 2.008. So if I remember right, that sounds right. That sounds like where I left it at. This rifle being more or less a SHTF rifle, if you will, I'm going to do some SHTF style reloading, which is going to be bare minimum, basically just trimming the brass back, full length resize it, trim it, and reload it. So we get it trimmed back there and put that out of the way since we don't need that anymore. Now we need to chamfer and deburr, and I'm still doing this by hand like an idiot, but you know, that's how it goes, you know. Some equipment to me is more important to others, and I kind of just go one forward, one back, one forward, one back, and she's chamfered there. And I'm using just a very light pressure, nothing crazy. Same thing for deburring the outside. To keep track of everything, because now I've got to figure out, I'm like, hey, make sure that I know that there's 45 and a half grains in here. I'm going to go ahead and write 45 and a half on these. I cleaned it really well. Once fired, tumbled it in the tumbler. My dry tumbler, used some IOSO case polish additive to my dry tumbler, so that stuff really comes out looking pretty good. And then I full-length resize the brass after I get done cleaning it, and then basically trim it, chamfer and deburr, and then start. I actually got to add the primers. Go put some primers in there. My primer tool, this old Lee hand press. It's my favorite priming tool. And the primers I'm using for this are Federal Large Magnum Rifle. These are number 215 Large Magnum Rifle primers. I just happen to have Magnum primers, and they're like, they're the oldest primers that I have, so I'm kind of going through all these Magnum primers before I get into just going back to my regular large rifle primers. I think I've got another 1,400 of these Magnum primers to go through before I get into the large rifle primers, and so I've got a lot of shooting to do before I actually start using large rifle primers, just standard ones again. And I need to find that primer I dropped, so found it. All right, so we're going 45 and a half grains of powder for 5 rounds here. 5 bullets out, 5 projectiles. The scale I'm using is an old, like one that I've been using for a long time. I really need a new scale. But it's just a Hardy G2 1500 scale. Make sure this thing is reading right here, which is good. I know that thing always weighs 205.7 grains, the little dish. And so when I pick it up, it says negative 205.7 after I zero it. And it goes back to 0, so we're good. So when I start the bullets into these cases, I initially start and then I rotate the whole case about 90 degrees, maybe a little further, maybe 100 degrees or so, and then finish pushing it all the way in, just to hopefully make it seat the bullet a little more evenly. One of the biggest problems is that my air conditioner is running right now, and there's a little very slight breeze blowing around in here, and that does affect your scale. I mean, scales are very, very sensitive instruments, so they do get affected by slight breezes. They get affected by electrical radiation. If you're playing a lot of music real loud or something, or if your phone's receiving a whole bunch of notifications, or the internet's actively transmitting back and forth on your phone, there is some electrical radiation coming off of that, and it will affect your scale. So just something to be aware of if you aren't, and you've wondered, maybe you've had an issue with your scale jumping around and you don't know what the hell's going on. It could be one of those things. I know I've pointed it out to a couple people before, and then they're like, what? That doesn't make sense. And then they turn the radio off and their scale's fine. Or they turn the air conditioner off or get it to not blow towards where they're working at, and their scale is fine. So that's just some of those things that you gotta know when you're reloading is very sensitive equipment. And very slight changes in the temperature of the room, or slight changes in wind speed in the room and that sort of thing will manipulate your scale a little and will change a little. The goal for this is I'm going to shoot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to shoot 6 5-round groups. I'm going to analyze the velocities on those groups, compare them to each other. Mainly the consistency of these velocities is what's really important to me. And then maximum velocity, I've kind of learned not to just chase velocity. I mean, it's fun to do. It's fun to see how fast you can push something, but a lot of times you sacrifice your accuracy doing that. It's very rare, very few occasions I've found where maximum pressure and velocity actually gave the best accuracy or precision. So that's just one of those things. And most reloaders will tell you that. There you go. That's 5 rounds loaded. No annealing, no flash hole uniforming, primer pocket uniforming. Didn't even clean the primer pockets on these. Like, they're just dirty. But yeah, there you go. So hopefully, I don't know if I'm going to actually get to, I haven't been to the gun range and I haven't shot in over a couple weeks now. And this weekend may be another week. This may be 3 weeks of not going to the gun range, but we've had some family issues recently, so we've had, some things have happened, and we're kind of having to adjust our lifestyles a little bit, everybody in the family. So, with that being said, I am going to get these to the range. I am going to be testing them. But there you go. I've got 30 rounds of these really pretty Alco bullets. They're amazingly built, amazingly consistent. Overall lengths are not more than like 1 or 2 thousandths out as far as all my measurements go. And I'm really excited to try them out. I know the 5.56 223 bullets work really, really well, and they're super accurate. Haven't tried these out, but I'm excited about it. I love what Alco Bullets does. They kind of took a design and they went a route that most other manufacturers have either experimented and didn't continue to do, but I like the way they design their bullets. I like that they have ballistic coefficients that are like the highest there is, and they give really, really great performance. So I'm excited to try these 308s out, and but we'll get into that. Hopefully there will be a range day. That's what's going on, guys. There's you some 308 reloading with Alco bullets, 175 grain rebated boat tail, ultra low drag. Yeah, these things are awesome, and I cannot wait to shoot them. So if you got any questions or comments or anything you want to add, leave that in the comment section below, and I will do my best to get back to you and answer those things. And if I think your comment or question's important enough, I may even add it into the next video. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.